And we are live.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. I'm Ali Nasser, and with me I have Amber Vilhauer, or Amber V, as she likes to go by, from NGNG. Amber has been awesome in helping me through every aspect of the book launch and just being a tremendous partner through this whole process. So I'm excited for us to host today's event together. And we have a action-packed hour or so for you where we'll be spending time with some of the collaborators that help make the book happen and talking to some of those individuals that really know the business owner life, the business owner community well, understand the dilemmas, and just are here to share their perspective and their impact, the impact that they got from reading the Business Owner's Dilemma. Amber,
I got to say something. You know I need to.
Yeah, of course.
Just before we went live, I was telling Ollie that I feel like the luckiest person on earth right now. Maybe you've had moments like that in your life where it just felt extra important. You felt extra alive in your body, like this moment really matters. And that is genuinely how I feel in this moment. It was an absolute honor for me to have met Ollie and his team about a year ago when he was, still working within the manuscript of the Business Owner's Dilemma. And I will never forget the first time that I really got to interact with Ollie, because he's just so different than anybody else that you could ever interact with. Like, you just know you're amongst greatness. And I don't say that to puff you up or like make you feel uncomfortable, Ollie, but like everybody's watching, they already know, they know what I'm talking about, right? He's just something different about this guy. But what's really special for me is that I get to be behind the scenes, right? And so I always wonder, like, how are these people showing up behind the scenes, after the Zoom camera goes down and after the office hours? And I'm telling you, he is so genuine and so wise and so deep. And this book is incredible. I read it cover to cover. I thought it was fantastic. Not just because I'm supposed to say that, but I genuinely feel like this book is going to move mountains. It's close to my heart. It's well written. I think it really expresses Ollie and, the work that he is here to do in the world, at least for this season of his life. And it's just a very important moment that we're all coming here to celebrate you today. So I'm nothing but grateful. Thank you for letting me be here. And Ollie, I want to put you in a space where you can really let people see what I've been witnessing over the past year. And I would love it if we could start by you just talking about your vision and your mission. Like, where does this come to be, and what's your why, and why does that matter? Whatever is in your heart to share. This is such a big day for Ollie. So give him some love in the comments and let us know you're here. And I'll let you have the floor.
Wow. Amber, I'm full of gratitude. Your words are not taken lightly, and I know that you mean them, and it means a lot to me. I'll share kind of my formal why in a minute and discuss the reason, what really motivated me to write this book. But something that came up today, completely impromptu, about 6 or 7 minutes ago, is Amber, she does this phenomenal job of asking me these questions that get me to be extremely vulnerable on the spot. And I don't always realize I'm being recorded, and I don't always realize that she might be writing it down, but she asked me these questions. And one of the questions she asked me today was about the impact of this book and like what it might do at the end of the day, kind of like the end goal. And I shared with her something that I don't share often. Occasionally I mention it in a speech if I get caught up in the moment and didn't write it enough or didn't write it well in the book. And that's that so many business owners, when we were 10 or 12 years old, we had a dream to make a positive impact in the world. It might have been, in our community, it might have been ending hunger or helping with education for kids or orphans or whatever it is that we had this calling or this passion toward. And we had a goal to do something about it one day. And we started building our companies and building our business, and you get 10 years in, 20 years in, 30 years in, and you're just so used to building and continuing growth that sometimes that 10-year-old dream gets forgotten or gets put on the back burner. And one of the things that I feel the goal of the Business Owner's Dilemma surrounds is really empowering entrepreneurs, empowering business owners to see their life's work with a new lens. In many cases, to realize that what they have may be more than what they need or even what they necessarily want. And what they want more than anything else is to fulfill that 10-year-old dream that they had to do something incredibly empowering with their wealth and create the impact that they once dreamt of. And, wealth, life decisions, addressing these dilemmas, building that roadmap to capture and realize your success is amazing. But what comes as a byproduct of that is you have the mental freedom and financial freedom to do what you might have put on the back burner for 30 years and revisit that 10-year-old dream. And I was like, if I could help that happen in the world, it would just be enormously impactful. So I have not said that really before. I don't think in that level of specificity, but Amber just pulled it out of me, kind of a silent goal that I had behind the scenes from an impact standpoint. Everyone gets to revisit their 10-year-old dream. So that came out in the first couple minutes, and I'm excited to share that with all of you, but completely unplanned.
Yeah,
I love it. Share the official way.
And I'm looking at, I'm mindful of the time. We have so many special guests coming in, but I want to share my screen just really, really briefly, if that's okay. So here we are at ollienasser.com, and you can just click on book here. And then also you can scroll down, look at that beautiful book. You can click order now and go straight to Amazon. We're looking at #1, baby. I love it. But I also want to point your attention here to book. And I'm bringing this up now because 100% of book proceeds going to charity water. So Ollie, right out of the gates, of course, we were talking about the importance of giving back and how important that is. One of Ollie's personal goals, he listed this long list of goals with me. And one of them is he really wants to empower positive change. That's in his heart. It's not about the number of copies sold and the number of dollars in the account. It's about enabling change. So we are going to inspire you to raise the bar in your business, in your industry as well, to spread the word today. I know I would personally love it if you could tag a couple of your business friends, mastermind buddies, colleagues in the comments below and let them know that this live experience is happening right now. Ollie, I definitely want to give you an opportunity to, share any last pieces about your why or the book. All these amazing fans.
Sure. I haven't seen that before. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to share the little bit more formal why for writing this book. And I know that we've got a guest coming on in just a minute or two, but Ryan, if you can hang tight, I'm going to hopefully explain this in just 2 minutes or less. About 10 years ago, I had a series of engagements that really changed the trajectory of my work and made me realize some things that I hadn't realized before. I've been guiding and helping entrepreneurs with planning their life's work for almost 2 decades. And about 10 years ago, I had a few engagements with business owners that had reached the summit of their mountain, if you will. Yeah. They had sold their companies for 20 million, 50 million, 100 million, even $500 million. And while they had complete financial independence, many of them were struggling. They were struggling with their identity. They were struggling with what's next. They were struggling with the business owner's dilemmas. And really that pressure of continuing growth and figuring out what's next was very overwhelming. And I noticed for many of these business owners, it impacted their physical health, their mental health, their family relationships. And at a point in life where you would expect that their success would have given them incredible happiness and freedom, in many cases, it was giving them the opposite. And seeing this, it crushed me inside, because not only did I care about the owners deeply, but I felt like I was on the same trajectory as them. A lot of these business owners, I was like, I see similarities between them and I really could see these commonalities, and it scared me. I got worried about my perspective, my paradigm, my mental health, my journey. And it made me hyper aware that wealth is a means, not an end. And that you've got to figure out what your end is. And the best analogy I can give you is mountain climbing. If you ask, what's the goal of climbing a mountain? Most people would say to get to the top. In reality, the true goal of mountain climbing is to get to the top and to get back down safely so you can celebrate the success. It may sound like a dummy answer there, but the interesting thing about mountain climbing accidents or mountain climbing statistics is that 80% of the accidents, they don't happen on the way up. They happen on the way down.
Oh
because
my gosh.
we're so focused on reaching our goal, which is got to get to the summit, that we don't think about what happens after. And I think this is very similar in business as
Wow.
well. And so many owners are so focused on hitting that number, hitting that outcome, selling that company, building that, and they don't think about what happens after. And it's the journey down that's much, much harder, the descent. And this book captures all of the paradigms, the approaches, the systems that I've used to help owners develop that roadmap to really capture their success, plan their life's work, and create that plan for the descend, as well as a plan for while they're growing. And that was my biggest why for writing this, is I didn't want to not share that message with the world. I wanted to democratize that framework. And what I had worked on in a boutique firm, I was like, how do I expand this to the entire business owner entrepreneurial community? And that was my reason for writing The Business Owner's Dilemma.
Wow. I love that. I mean, that's not the first time that I've heard it maybe that way, but it just hit me differently now since the last time that I heard that. And it's a good reminder every time. Entrepreneurs are so driven, achievement oriented. I want to bring Ryan in. I can't wait to meet this guy.
Ryan's awesome.
This
You're
guy.
gonna have a blast. There he is.
How are you?
Ryan Tansom.
Congratulations, Ali. Here we are, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, here we are. I'm honored that you're joining us first. Ryan has a tremendous affinity for entrepreneurs. He is an entrepreneur. He's been through an exit, and he's got tremendous wisdom and knowledge for entrepreneurs that are looking at that pathway or that roadmap to exiting their business and the life after. And Ryan, please give us a quick intro to you.
So I was listening, and it's been 8 years since we sold our business, and every day I hear more and more things about I wish I would have known. And your book, it's 8 years, a little too shy, man. I climbed right up that mountaintop and thought it was a cliff and had no parachute, and so went through all the things that you went through, or you're describing here, and so many parts of your book, and the way that you're framing up the concepts to think differently, I think are huge, man. Because the only way to start acting is thinking differently first, and you're making it easy, and I love it.
Thank you, Ryan. What was the first thing that struck you in the new framework, or kind of the new way of thinking about it?
There's so many things, because one is the control, like the risk and the control, man. Like when you show like, hey, we think we can have like so much control over this huge risky machine that kicks out some money, hopefully. And yet we think about risk as stocks completely different. Yet, so how you laid out the control and the opportunity risk and the reinvesting dilemma. I mean, it's so interesting because our business was doing 20 million and had 115 employees. So no small machine, and it's not liquid. And so you talk a lot about that. So you don't really think about it as wealth. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have a pot to piss. We didn't have a pot to piss in, man. Like we didn't have a Schwab account. We wouldn't have had the assets under management to work with you until we sold. And it was just interesting. So we never thought about ourselves as wealthy. It was just all about like, how do we continue to grow this business? So trying to think about yourself and the wealth paradigm, like, hey, this is wealthy, and like this is wealth, and how do we want to treat it, and how does our life fit into it? Because you're so commingled. I just think separating that is like I said, the first way to start thinking about when you start thinking about it, then you can do something about it. Until we didn't know how to think about it until afterwards. It was like went from this huge machine to a TD Ameritrade account that you can't really do a whole lot with.
Yeah, it changes the whole paradigm overnight. And it's almost as though it's an entirely new journey, because I see so many business owners. I'll give an example of like a specific one. I had this one business owner, had a manufacturing company, and he had sold his company, and he had a huge liquidity event that happened, and this now turned into cash. And he goes, now that I've earned this money, I can't see it fluctuate at all. I don't want to ever see it lose $1 because I worked so hard for it. And I'm thinking in my head, he was in the oil and gas industry. I was like, if he knew if his company traded like a stock, what it looked like the last 20 years that he built it, it would be these wild, crazy gyrations of up, but he just never saw it on a screen.
Yep.
So for him, converting that business success into personal wealth on his balance sheet, he almost had an entirely new learning curve of thinking about this, because for all these years he had viewed it as, this is not risky because I control it. And in reality, it was quite a different situation.
And how you bucket, Ollie, the different wealth categories and different risks that come with it. Like there was a story that I told you, it wasn't in your book, but I think you have a lot of examples that kind of are similar to this. Is that someone in the Olympics, if they're on the balance beam, I can't do all these flips and everything like that and land, 98% of the time on my feet after flipping off a balance beam. But that person does that all the time. So their level of accomplishment is 98% of the time. But as a business owner, I'm essentially doing all those flips. We had a copier managed IT business. So those flips were related to our industry. But then all of a sudden, when you shift it to a different practice, like you talk about, we're like, we didn't have the Midas touch with, REITs or real estate investing or stocks and bonds. We did for copiers and IT services. So it was just understanding the opportunity and our level of skill and awareness as related to our business compared to other things. This happened to my dad and I know you mentioned it in your book, where all of a sudden you sell and everybody comes out of the woodworks and wants to be your friend and wants an investment. And so we had no framework to say, hey, we should invest in real estate or like startups in California, or maybe like, put it in with a wealth manager. We didn't have any kind of like direction. And so like it's almost like you think you could do you're always doing those flips perfectly, but you realize that you're no longer on the balance beam. You're, doing a different game.
Yeah.
And you haven't been able to shift and understand the risk associated with what you're doing after the fact.
So what did you do? How did you handle it?
We made a lot of really bad decisions. We did a bunch of a lot of residential investing. We did some REITs. We invested in some hotels, some startups. I started my business. So it took a long time to figure out, hey, like this is different. And we need to understand, like going back into your different 6 components, like what's the cash flow needs versus and the liquidity that comes from the assets. So having this understanding of liquidity, wealth, and understanding your cash flow needs is huge. And then kind of stacking on the risk that you're taking. Like, you lay it all great, man. Like I said, your book's a couple of years. I could add a couple of zeros if I would have invested in the book a handful of years ago.
Well, I appreciate that. And hopefully for the next Ryan Tansom that might be selling their company, next year or the year after, I think that's the goal. And what I mentioned about coming down the mountain, so many, I've just seen it so many times, and I know you have as well. And I'd love for you to share if you have a story that where an owner really struggled with post-exit, because I think this is one of those areas we share a passion in this particular area. And I don't think, no matter how much I tell business owners this, maybe if they read the book, it goes a bit deeper and it kind of the immersive experience tells the story even better, but they underestimate the impact of preparing for the life after. And the way, in the spirit of the mountain climbing analogy I gave earlier, it's like they're telling me, Ali, when I climb to the top of the mountain and I reach the summit, then when I get there, I'm going to spend a month or 2 to think about how I'm going to get down.
Yeah, if you don't need to bring any of your gear, if you've got a shovel in a coffin and you put the coffin and the shovel at the top of hey, game over. It sounds good if that's your plan. Like dying in the corner office, like that's always a strategy, not optimal. But man, you hit the nail on the head. And so I've got a podcast. I've got almost 300 interviews completed now, and like not just dozens, but like hundreds of people that have come on the show. And it used to be called Life After Business. Now it's called Intentional Growth. But you and I are like lockstep, because people that had a big entity and tens of thousands of employees, for an example, and then they liquidate, and then they've got a TD Ameritrade account with $100 million and no infrastructure to make the impact that they had been for 10, 20 years. Literally hundreds of interviews where they're like, I'm miserable. I'm trying to then reinvest and buy a company to get the impact that I wish I would have known I wanted after the fact. Doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, but it's just like you lay out understanding that. Cause like you said, entrepreneurs don't retire, man. And I would argue that most people don't, because it's in our DNA to have purpose and growth, to better understand ourselves. So like that whole thing when there's like 4 Venn diagrams all intersect where you talk, I don't know what the word.
The Ikigai concept. Yeah. That's really easy to pronounce, by the way.
Yeah. I thought it was a boggle, like one of the boggle exercises. You're supposed to figure out what the word was. But my point is, it's very difficult if you can't go back. Like when you sell your business, you can't go back and then get your coworkers again and get the community again and get the infrastructure and the vendors and suppliers. So understanding where you fit in like the relationship and like the ongoing legacy you want with that, like you mentioned, is crucial to make the decision, because you can liquidate your asset like an ESOP and keep running your company. You know what I mean? It's like people like understand like you can liquidate this asset and keep running it, or you can, pass on your role and keep it. But your framework can help people make those decisions without figuring it out after the fact that there is no reset button.
I
Ollie,
appreciate
you
you
need
sharing
Ryan
that.
in your back pocket everywhere you go. This guy's
I
awesome.
mean, Ryan's he gets it so well. When he and I first connected, when we were introduced, it was about 5 minutes into the conversation, and we were both like, "Did we just become best friends?"
I see
Because
it. I get
we
the vibe.
saw. I meet a lot of people that do the type of work that relates to M&A or preparing companies for exit or outsource CFOs. I don't meet a lot of Ryans. Ryan's got kind of a very unique approach to providing that type of strategic financial guidance for business owners that are, nearing an exit in the next few years. If you hear his podcast episodes on intentional growth, you'll see the incredible work that he does. But that's just, it's a rare find. So we've naturally, cross-pollinated with clients and collaborated on different things and done some joint speeches. So Ryan, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your
Good luck, man. And I want everybody to pick it up, because it's a how-to, right? How to think about this stuff. It all starts with thinking differently. Then you create the anxiety of like, you got to do something about it. Because if you don't know it, then you're not going to do anything about it. But you've planted this seed that people can't ignore.
Yes, I love that. That's a great endorsement line. Okay. My marketing mind.
We're gonna capture that. You planted the seed that people can't
Wasn't
ignore.
that really good?
So Ryan, when we do the reprint, when we do the next print copy of this, or on our website, we're putting that down along with.
I like it. Anything, it's something that resonated. I like it.
Yeah.
Several things.
Ryan, I know that the team is putting your contact information and the link to the podcast in the chat comments. So feel free to come back and engage with people there. It was really great to be connected with you here.
Thanks for having me, Ollie, and good luck, man. And everybody, I pick up the book. It's awesome.
Pick it up. Ryan. I'm so excited to welcome Carrie to the stage.
Yeah. And Carrie, Mr. Oberbrunner.
You're on mute.
You're muted.
This guy.
Now I'm good. Great to see you.
Great to see you, Carrie.
Hey, what is up?
I see the aura. I see the aura ring there.
Boom. Yes. These are two of my favorite people. Listen, I wanted to share this. I'm having a tough time finding it. Where is this going to? LinkedIn? Where's the
we're
live?
all over the place right now. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube right now.
Good. Okay, perfect.
Across
Where
both of our channels,
because I'll share it. I'll share it on Facebook.
Yeah, we will. I'll make sure Jade gives it to you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, listen.
Very great to have you on, my man. What's going on?
This, my friend, I opened this box the other day. Oh my gosh.
Gorgeous, Carrie.
It is amazing. I mean, talk to me. Listen, I love this stuff. I absolutely love it. So unpack this for me, because I know Amber and her team like put thought into this, and you did as well. But like, walk me through it, my friend.
Yeah. What's wise, Ollie? What's wise?
Awesome.
Talk about wise.
Carrie. So
isn't that gorgeous?
This is heavy.
I was impressed when I saw it too. It came out much cooler than the photos.
It is.
Wise is the wealth integration system for entrepreneurs. And it means, those 4 letters mean so much to me, because everything, with all the complexity and challenges and questions and dilemmas and everything that goes on in an entrepreneur's mind, everything from like, how do I, capture my life's work? How do I reinvest? How do I minimize my tax? How do I have continuity for my family and for my team? Like, how do I pull it all together? Everything there is one of the 6 components within Wise.
Love it.
And that coin is there as a reminder to all my collaborators that, hey, it all fits together through one system, all the dilemmas, all the plans. As Gino Wickman said, Wise is like EOS for your personal wealth.
Oh,
And
that's good.
I was honored for him to say that, but it's similar. Everything fits into one spot. So that's what it
Yes.
is. Appreciate the question.
Yes. Well, I had joy when I opened this, and let me break it down here. You are so important to me, Ollie, that I picked up my daughter early because I said I need to be online with my friends, Amber and Ollie. So this book, I love it. You brought me into the process. And how do you feel, man? Like I've written books. How do you feel holding this thing?
I feel great. I don't know if it's fully hit me.
Yeah.
It has. It hit you in phases. You should see
it-
the video when he was first holding a copy of his book. It was the most magical video that his team took, Carrie.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love
I
it.
didn't mean to cut you off, but like you've
No,
had
it's
so many special
great.
moments with the book, Ollie.
I'm honored. And I tell you,
Well,
the first time I started reading it, Carrie, myself,
mhm. Yes.
it's
It's surreal, isn't it? Isn't it
It
surreal when you
is.
start reading it?
and seeing the old notes, the graphic, what you just showed me, I remember 5-6 years ago whiteboarding that concept,
Wow.
and drawing it up with one of my team members and
Yeah.
just figuring out like what this looks like and being so excited because we took something from the entrepreneur's mind and we diagrammed it on paper. And when we showed it to business owners, they were like, oh my gosh, you're in my head. This is exactly how I think. Can I get a copy of that? Can I show my wife that? And I remember the first time I really knew it was something extraordinary was when one business owner came in for a meeting and he brought his wife with him. He said, Ollie, could you show me that diagram?
Oh,
And I want, and he pulls it out, he goes, honey, this is how I think on paper. And he explained it the way I explained it to him, but to his wife. And in that moment, I was like, okay, that's going somewhere. And now it's one of the chapters in the book, one of the concepts. So
I love it.
I mean, it's amazing to see it come to life. And now thousands of owners can use that as opposed to before when it was tens or hundreds.
Yes.
So
well, I know Amber knows this. I mean, she works with authors all the time. Great company, by the way, NGNG. But it takes so much. It's such a labor of love.
Oh my gosh.
I look at the table of contents because that to me is where we're going. And you break down the book into 3 parts. So again, I love this, but dilemma, design, and decision.
Well,
So,
I'm sure you love it because you were the creative mind that thought of separating it into 3
what I'm
spots.
looking for. I drew it out of you. You had it.
It's true.
But for
Well, it's a
everyone
great
listening,
team, right? I mean, that's entrepreneurship even. You don't just do it alone as a CEO. You have your team working with you. It's a collaboration, right?
Yes.
So this is a dream team right here.
Hey, I love it.
It was great.
So talk to us though, the 3 parts. So the metaphor is fantastic about the mountain. And I'm sure I heard you referencing that.
Yeah.
That it's the
You've heard it on
people
stage, yeah.
Yeah, but did everyone hear that today? All right.
Yeah.
They did. We started with that mountain analogy.
It's a great metaphor.
Isn't it good? Yeah.
It is so good. It is so good. Like I never want to climb a mountain now unless I know how to get off the mountain. Right? Like Mount Everest fear or something. But these 3 dilemmas and then your design. And what I love about this, Ollie, is you don't just say, here's the book and have a good life. You have a whole system of what do we call them again? Wise guides.
Oh, guides.
Guides.
To go through the workshop program.
The wise guides. That was Ollie's. So talk to us about that though. I mean, yes, the book's going to help them, but just like EOS, they can have implementers essentially. So talk about that.
Yeah. So the word that I would use to most accurately describe the role that I've played with business owners for so many years has been a guide. I know that in an industry term that I've had is the term advisor, but I think when it comes to business owners, it's oftentimes helping them see more clearly and helping them think through different decisions. But yes, there's points where I'm giving advice, but really I think the greatest work is done when I'm guiding and kind of showing and teaching and exploring and saying, here's a different path you can take. So when a business owner kind of express to me, what you've done, you've kind of guided me through this whole process. And I would hear that again and again. And when I was thinking for the term of what role am I playing in this book, because I'm not an advisor, I'm not providing a function in that sense. What am I really doing? What's the role? And the role is being a guide and telling business owners, I've seen 1,000 entrepreneurs go through this journey before. I know what's been successful, what hasn't. You can learn from my mistakes and their victories and my victories. So really serve this role as a guide. And for those business owners that want to go deeper from the content in this book, they read this book and they're like, gosh, this has been great. This has been helpful, but I really want to go deeper. We've built a workshop program.
Yes.
And if you visit wiseglobalnetwork.com, there's a workshop program that we're building, and entrepreneurs can get access to a platform where they can get independent perspective on how to address the biggest dilemmas in their life, how to address all 6 components of entrepreneurial wealth. And I appreciate you showing this on the screen here. There's an assessment to help business owners gain greater clarity as to where they are right now. And for those that say, I read this book, this has been fantastic, I want to go deeper, but I want kind of that independent guidance and perspective where I can get education, workshops, tools, similar to a strategic coach program, but for entrepreneurial wealth. This is that platform. And I'm serving as your guide, in a workshop format, helping guide you through the different decisions and dilemmas that you have. And a future consideration we have is to have additional guides available on the platform that can provide that type of guidance beyond just me. So that there's additional firms or guides that can get licensed to essentially provide that ongoing implementation, similar to what you described. You looked at it kind of like an EOS implementer, and I think that's a fair analogy for that to exist as well.
I love it. I love it. So, Amber, when I went to the EOS conference last year, I believe it was Texas.
I wish I could have been there.
Oh yeah, it was cool. Like I don't wear cowboy boots, but if I had them, I would have.
We would have welcomed that.
Yes, but I'll never forget. I was sitting next to our integrator at the time, and along comes this first speaker, and I'm like, whoa, like I just heard the voice. I know it sounds weird, but it's true.
I told you, right? When we started the live stream, I was like, there's nobody like Ollie. He's amazing.
It's true. I mean, I thought, okay, this guy drives race cars. He's got cool hair. He's got this crazy calm stage presence. And I'm not even joking. I turned to our integrator and I said, we need to book him for our conference. And we did. We booked him for the Igniting Souls conference. Amber, you came the year before. Yeah. You did an amazing job. Yeah. And he came, and the whole crowd, I think we were the first group. Can I claim that you spoke?
Yes. On this topic, the business owner's dilemma, the very first speech, I would call it almost, it wasn't a beta, but in a sense, like the first keynote speech I did on the book was at your conference. And
I love it.
We had people crying. We had people laughing. We had people revisiting kind of these early memories of money and kind of entrepreneur. And the moment that it really hit me, Carrie, and I thank you for inviting me to that conference. The moment it really hit me was the next morning after the conference keynote. A friend of mine, Steve Nooner, him and his wife, Corey, they sent me a message, and they said, Ali, there's someone sitting here on this table who is looking at the document from your keynote yesterday and looking at their answers and their notes to the workshop in this deep ponder, like they're questioning, they're looking at their entire life, like they're really revisiting in a good way, just revisiting their life journey. And he goes, Ali, I'm telling you what I'm witnessing right now, this is making a huge impact on people. And this is a day later. This isn't right after the talk. And it kind of gave me chills. And I was like, all right, that's working. It's working. And if people are more intentional from the content in this book or the associated speeches, I think it's worth it right there.
Well, in your book,
empowering positive change.
It is amazing. What I love in the book and on your speech is that you talk about how we have this relationship with money. And if we're not careful as entrepreneurs, whatever that emotion is, for example, some have security. And if it's security because they had scarcity in their upbringing, then like you said, they're not going to want to part with that money as they get more successful. And so you almost have to deprogram. That's what I got from the book.
Yeah.
You got to deprogram your relationship with money.
Right.
That's great, man.
I mean, I think that you
Those
said it so
endorsements, too.
well.
How do you feel, man? Dan Sullivan, Gino Wickman, Cameron, Mark Winters. How do you feel knowing those amazing influencers are blowing you up? What do you think?
I'm humbled. I'm humbled. You know, Dan Sullivan's been a mentor of mine for 14 years now. I joined his program back in 08, 09.
Cool.
I probably have read 24 to 36 of his books, sat through. I mean, we've had so many one-on-one conversations, so many workshops. He's just an incredible mind that simplifies the equation in a unique way and makes it real in practice. So I'm honored and humbled that his name is there. Gino Wickman is, I feel like he's like a big brother to me. I've learned so much from him, and it was an honor to be able to, like last year when I did the opening keynote for the EOS conference. Before I did the speech, someone says, "How do you feel?" I was like, "I feel like I'm opening for Coldplay." You know, like Gino Wickman's is his conference. This is the guy who's 4 years ago, I read his book. I didn't know who he was. He changed my life. And I read the book Rocket Fuel. And 4 years later, after reading that book, I'm doing the opening keynote at his conference. I felt like I heard Coldplay at a concert, and all of a sudden I'm opening for them 4 years later.
Great example.
And
he calls you the authority on entrepreneurial wealth. Like that's a huge statement.
It's humbling, especially from Gino. He's like the entrepreneurial business master. So I'm humbled, and you know, it's humbling. And Cameron Harold and Mark Winters and the whole group. I mean, Cameron's just a tremendous personality. I think his books Double Double and Free PR have just been impacts to the business community. He's just kind of simplified the equation in a lot of ways, and he's built the Second in Command program with his Invest in Your Leaders and COO Alliance. And then Mark Winters, he's been amazing. You know, he was the co-author of Rocket Fuel and kind of built out Rocket Fuel University. And I think he's kind of the integrator mastermind program as well. And just, again, all tremendous personalities. And I'm humbled that they gave such raving endorsements, and they were collaborators for the book. I mean, they saw it in advance. Mark wrote pages of feedback book a year ago. So I'm thankful to all four of them for being the cover blurbs there. And thanks for mentioning that, Carrie.
Oh yeah. Well,
you're the best.
Listen, man, I just wanted to pop in. I'll roll, but so proud of you, Ollie, and just Amber, you know, jumping in and her whole team doing this amazing box. We got people yelling about it. Suzanne wants.
Yeah. And a shout out to you, Carrie. Carrie Oberbrunner at Igniting Souls was a strategic advisor to me on the book. And I was
important moment in the book too.
Yeah.
You really drove it home.
I was like 95% there. And I said, there's like this list.
It was
probably 20 things that are all these little strategic decisions on the book. And it's like, I need the right mind to help me through these key decision points, and kind of in many ways how I structure some parts of the book. And Carrie gave me tremendous guidance on all those pieces and bringing it together. And kind of sometimes the hardest part is the final part, you know, pulling the pieces together. Carrie you did a tremendous job helping me with that. And I'm very grateful to you.
Yeah.
And, you know, you and your team have done awesome work, and Igniting Souls team is just such a wonderful group of people in general. So thank you to you and to your team, and you're
awesome.
Appreciate you being a part of this journey with me.
I'll see you in April at the EOS conference. I bet
I will be there and ready to speak on the book.
There now. All right.
Thanks,
all right.
Carrie.
Take care, Carrie.
He's so awesome. Dang, look at all this love.
I'm overwhelmed right now, but I'm having a blast with it.
Good.
And this next guest is a very unique guest. because he's someone that not only was a collaborator on the book, but also is someone who's I've worked with directly as a business owner, been a guide to him and his lovely wife Salima, and really helped them through many aspects of their journey. So it's super exciting because it's a friend, it's a client, it's a partner, and it's a collaborator. So I'm excited to bring on our next guest, Amindala.
Hi, Amen. He said his AirPods are giving him problems at the moment.
You're muted at the moment, Amen.
His AirPods. We can just say lovely things about him.
We'll continue to.
How long have you guys known each other?
I think we're probably at around 7 years, I would think. Somewhere like that, 6, 7 years.
Okay.
Amen, are you good on audio yet?
I can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
So this is a problem. So
well, I can hear you.
I'm sorry, it was working. I heard all your conversations up to this point, and now I can't hear you for some reason. So I have no idea. My AirPod just went off, so I can't get the mic to work. I'm sorry for this. Do you want me just to relog back in?
You
Amber,
could.
what do you think? Do you want to maybe go to the next? Should we go to the next person?
I think that's a good. Yeah, I think that's good. I was trying to chat with him a little bit, but I think we can bring on our next guest because I believe Joseph has been in the line for a little bit as well. If we want to skip to Joseph, and then we'll bring him back in because I can't wait to get to know him a little bit better.
That sounds perfect. Now I saw in the chat there that Joseph, when he heard that when Carrie complimented my hair. When Carrie complimented my hair, which was a shock to me, Joseph wrote in the chat, "Are you sure he wasn't referring to my hair?"
Yeah.
So, Joseph Bramante is a collaborator on this book, a very good friend, a phenomenal investor in multifamily real estate. He's got a company here in Houston, very successful real estate multifamily investing firm. And Joseph, when he read the book almost a year ago, and I'm not exaggerating the story, he showed up at my front doorstep. He said, "Hey," and he would not let me take no for an answer. He's like, "Hey, can I come by and see you?" I was like, "Well, I'm kind of just hanging out tonight." He pushed. He's like, "I'm coming by." He shows up at my front doorstep with a gift box and a card. And inside the gift box, he had printed an entire copy of my manuscript. He had written me a letter saying how impactful it was for him and how proud he was as a friend that I'd written my first book. And then line by line, he had made his comments through the entire manuscript, like what he liked, what he didn't like, where I had spelling mistakes. And and then came to my front doorstep in my house and said, here's this gift box and this card. And I remember I was overwhelmed. I remember telling Brooke, like, Joseph just showed up with basically a hand-edited manuscript. And that's the kind of friend Joseph is.
I want to be your friend, Joseph.
Yeah.
Well,
so he has some intimate knowledge of this book, and he, yeah. Joseph, please introduce yourself and tell the audience all about you.
I'm Joseph. I'm Ali's friend. That's all you need to know.
Very good friend.
I do multifamily. I've been doing it for like 10 years. I'm an engineer, work for Exxon, so I'm very like detail oriented. And so that's my lovely comments I gave to Ali. It's all love. And I met Ali in 2014. 15?
Probably 7, 8 years ago, 6, 7 years, something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
And it's been a while. And we've just been friends ever since. And so I've always kind of known him personally. And then the last couple of years, we've started to do more professional stuff together. And so for me, this book was like my first kind of, I never really knew what he did until I read the book. And I was like, oh, like, that's what you do. And so I just, I think I don't know, maybe I don't want to characterize everybody out there, but I feel like a lot of what this is a black box to a lot of people who don't know. And, my background was corporate America, and I launched my business in 2013. So it was very much, just kind of figuring out, like, all entrepreneurs are like, you're just lucky to keep this thing going and create your business. The last thing you're trying to figure out how to do is like how to properly plan for an exit
No
and all this
kidding.
other stuff.
Yeah.
So go
when
ahead.
you say that, Joseph, when you say it was a black box, do you mean like when you hear the terms like wealth and life planning, like what do you actually do there? It just sounds like it's all the same. Are you referring to kind of the concept of when you hear wealth and what we do, or elaborate on what you mean by
Like,
when you read the book, you
you know,
actually realize what it is that we do?
Yeah, so my background is corporate America, right? So I had an Edward Jones guy, and I had I had a life insurance policy, and I had my 401k, and like that was
All
it.
the
Like
checklist items, right?
like that's all I knew. And I was like, if I'm doing that, I'm okay. And so this like was a whole nother level that I wasn't even aware of or knew of, or how it really all kind of came together and worked together. And that's why I gave you that comment there that, this is like the Rich Dad Poor Dad, because in the real estate world, Rich Dad Poor Dad is a eye-opening book for a lot of people in our space.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the rich business owner, poor business owner book, because, a lot of people can be business owners, but if you want to take it to that next level and do it correctly and really plan for it how you're supposed to, I mean, that really sets you apart from the other business owners who, unfortunately, I mean, I know of several instances of other real estate people who've grown very large portfolios and have not done the correct steps. And now, unfortunately, it looks like their company is just dissolving. They're just selling everything, and it's, anyway, so I feel like, having read this book, and you can, they didn't take some of these steps to have those next plans in place, or it was too late, because it was obviously, you could see them trying to maneuver and make changes. But at that point, it's like, dude, you're like 75 years old, man. Like all these things had to have been in place way, way before.
Yeah.
I think that's just, some people you just don't know. You don't know when. And for me also, like I'm 36. So some of these conversations, I'm not even like mental maturity wise, like ready to even have. I'm like, I don't really want to talk about some of this stuff.
It was honestly new to me as well. I mean, you're so like on fire all the time as an entrepreneur, fixing the next problem, making the next hire, trying to build the next system or operation, and you're growing quickly. And then whatever worked before doesn't work at this level. So to think so many steps ahead, you'd have to have a mentor or a guide, to your point, Ollie, that says this is the way. But entrepreneurs don't really have a good mentor or a good model for that. And when I was reading the book about when you did, Joseph, about a year ago, it was so well written, and it was like easy for me to understand, because this could have been the world's most complicated book that you would have lost me on page 7, but I could read the whole thing and I understood the structure, and it felt possible somehow. Right. And
so, and it's super engaging. I was telling Ali this morning, like I was just like trying to skim it last night to remind myself of everything that was in it. And I kept getting sucked into the pages, and I was like, Michelle's like, what are you doing? I'm like, sorry. It's like, come on, you got to flip through these faster. And it was because like every page has like so many good nuggets on it. You're like, oh, it was great. So I think,
that means a lot. It sounds like there was a kind of a lens to what might come next for you. Like one, there was a paradigm shift on the whole rich dad, poor dad, but then there's a whole section where it's like, here's what's going to come in the next 20 years that you hadn't even thought about or may not have even fully processed yet.
Well, that, and I also thought, I had this view of like, oh, that's for like big companies. That's not for like me, like I'm like this small business owner guy, like that's for those people over there. But after like reading through this, I'm like, no, like this actually applies to me. And I think that was one of the great things about it, was that a lot of this is very universal. Like everybody should have this in place. And a lot of times, as small business owners, we're just trying to keep food on the table. And you just you get so, it can almost be a trap, right? Because you work so hard and you just keep going. and you never take a moment to be like, okay, maybe take a step back and let me like do some preservation and do some actual strategic planning about what it is that I've just spent 5 to 10 years building. You can't just build and never kind of put a fence around what you got.
Yeah, that Joseph, I'm really glad you said that, and it's profound, because so many business owners, we spend the majority of our time in build, grow. And sometimes we don't realize, and I know myself, I sometimes don't realize this because I'm in the jar, so to speak, and I can't always read the label. And many business owners, I'm the one that's outside the jar and I can read the label. But if you just spent more time planning your success, sometimes that's actually worth more than just growing it. Does that make sense? Like sometimes we're so focused on, well, I know this activity drives a new client or a new opportunity or a new deal, and I've got to do it. So I'll drop anything to do that. But you reach a point with your success where there's a point when planning your success can be worth more than just growing it. You actually get to capture it, because most entrepreneurs write it up, don't make a plan, and they write it down, or their children do, or it's taxed, or there's not that intentional plan put in place. And I think it's profound what you said. You've got to have a plan for it. Thank you.
And I think you remind me of something that you actually said on something recently. You were talking about building a business is like climbing a mountain, and like 80% of the injuries don't actually happen when you're building the business. They happen when you're on your way down the mountain, because you're relaxed, you're not paying attention, you're just so focused on growth. You get to the top and you think like that's it, and you check out, and then you end up having an accident or getting hurt on the way down. So I think I just remember when you said that, I was like, man, that was really deep. So
I appreciate you remembering that. I actually mentioned it at the beginning of today's live stream as well. It seems like that's the analogy that really gets business owners to put a framework around their journey. Because I think, myself included, for many years, I always assumed the goal is to get to the summit, is to get to the top of the mountain. And I have learned many, many times over this past decade or two that it's not. The goal is really coming back down the mountain safely. And that requires you to plan for the second half of the journey. And the goal of this book, it really and truly is to help empower business owners to capture their life's work, realize their life's work, and plan for the journey down the mountain as well as the journey up, both sides of it. So I really appreciate that, Joseph. And I'm very grateful for your collaboration and input on the book. For those of you that aren't familiar with Joseph's work, I'd love to take a quick, can I highlight you for a second, Joseph?
Go for it.
So Joseph owns a company. He's an owner-founder of a business called Triarch, and they do multifamily real estate investing in Texas, primarily in Houston, but I know you've got some properties and projects outside as well. And he is this is the way I describe Joseph to people that are curious about him, or, hey, what do you know about Joseph Bramante? Or they're looking. Joseph is one of the most entrepreneurial yet extremely analytical, OCD, spreadsheet-minded business owners I've ever met. Like, if you want someone that can analyze the deepest analytics and technical stuff, but is still an entrepreneurial visionary that will not get lost in the detail, but go execute upon it. First time I saw his real estate pro forma, I was like, wow, this guy, did someone else do this? And then he's like, no, I build this, and I now teach courses on how to build it and how to do it the right. So Joseph has a unique ability of being a visionary and also being this incredible analytical mind.
Very rare.
It's very rare, and it's kind of how we nerd out sometimes together.
Love it.
We both kind of have a dorky side to us with the technical and then the entrepreneurial side as well. So that's my my mention for Joseph there. Definitely
Joseph.
check out his company and his work.
Yeah, I'm sure they're putting the links in the chat below. And then Joseph, of course, you're welcome to come back and then comment and engage on the chat thread, because there are probably people asking about you or wanting to get to know you a little bit better. We encourage that. Really appreciate you being here.
Well, great. I appreciate you having me. I appreciate the kind words, and I'm really excited for the lives that you're going to change with your book. I think it's the business owners, and in general, maybe you'll encourage people to get into some ownership. But I think it's just going to be profound, the impact it's going to have on the community.
I love it, Joe. And I'm forever going to appreciate this line of yours. This book is the Rich Dad, Poor Dad of Entrepreneurial Wealth.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That means a lot. It was a great line. Thank you.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, take a deep breath, right?
2/22/22. People are asking what the significance of that date is, Ollie.
So it's a great question, and sometimes I have an explanation but not an answer. So this is one of those times where, so last year, 2 years ago, 2020, I'm driving and randomly stopped at a light. Don't worry, anyone, from a safety standpoint. Randomly stopped at a light. I look at my watch, and it's February 22nd. It's 2:22 and like 18 seconds. And I'm like, oh, it's about to be all twos. And I pull out my phone and I snap a photo, and it's just all twos. Didn't think anything of it other than this is me being easily amused. It's really cool. It's a lot of twos. And I sent it to my team, like, hey, check this out. And one of my team members, Kaylee, she's like, oh, that's my lucky number. And she was super excited about all the twos. Didn't think another thing of it. And then last fall, Amber, you were on a call with me and like, well, we're postponing the book launch from October to next year. We're thinking about doing it in Q1, but not January because it's too messy. We're thinking February. I said, what date are you thinking? And you said to me, what do you think of 2/22/22? And in that moment, I went right back to the photo of the watch that I took. And I said, yep, thank you, Amber. That's the date. We're doing it on 2/22. So I don't know the significance exactly, but I know the universe told me.
Yes. Somebody should look up, like, what is the meaning of 2/22/22?
So I actually did look it up, and I want to share something with you. And
it's these little details in life. I mean, they're so great. I love it.
Yeah, and I'm pulling it up here on my phone. It's cool, and I got a message about it today, and they said it's the portal to greatness. It's the meanings of these 2/22/22 is it's opening a portal to greatness, and I'm hoping that portal is an opportunity to make a great impact on the business owners that read it, on the community that's impacted by it, for my future of being able to help and influence this world.
Gosh.
Hopefully today is a great portal for everybody, for all of us to step into our greatness and to have an opportunity to be our best. And hopefully this book helps open that portal for business owners. That's my goal.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know Amen is back. That is such a fantastic answer. I want to share my screen really quick. Hi, Amen. So good to have you back. I just wanted to share this really quick though, Ollie, because you're talking about the portal of greatness. That's reminding me of what we were talking about before we even got started with the live stream. And I know we touched on WISE for just a minute, but I felt like so strongly when I was listening to Joseph to have you talk and speak into a little bit more the special bonus that you have for $12. And I'm not trying to be salesy here, but like, this is a really amazing and generous opportunity that you have given to people. Would you speak into when people order 12 copies, what they get?
Yeah, sure. So we've delivered this several times at different conferences. In fact, Carrie, who was on earlier, we did this at his conference as a keynote speech, but it was a live workshop covering an introduction to the business owner's dilemma, the 3 dilemmas, the 6 components, and there's a really cool exercise on the paradigms of money and the psychology behind how we see our wealth and where we are. And this 90-minute private event is giving everyone that attends it an opportunity to get an exposure to that lens, that thinking, assess their dilemmas with more clarity, their 6 components, their paradigm of money, and really go deeper on the concepts in the book. And the last time we delivered this, we had laughter, we had tears, we had breakthroughs. I had a list of messages from people after the session of how impactful it was. So yeah, if you're interested or debating that, there's probably 12 business owners that could really benefit from this. grab them a copy and let's do a live workshop and give you exposure to that thinking and content. So thanks for that, Amber.
Well, when you go to the book sales page, and you can't miss the link, it's all over the place, you'll be able to see that you can get your 12 copies and then get next steps to actually be invited into that. But this was kind of a little bit of a late addition into the campaign, because you'll see there's bonuses all over the place on this page. But that talk did get such rave reviews. And so we spoke like, Ollie, would you be willing to do this for people? And I mean, for 12 copies of the book, get them for your team or your friends, or I'm giving them to my clients as they're onboarding. I mean, everybody can benefit from the concepts in this book, but getting access into that event, I think, is really going to open up a lot of people's minds into their own portal to greatness. So it's kind of was all swirling around in my mind. So then I had to cut you off there just to share this. Hopefully people will go do that, because that's a can't miss event that's coming up.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you. Amen. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to see you. It's been a great week, because I got to talk to you on Monday. I got to see you at the pre-launch event last Thursday.
Oh, you lucky.
I'm getting Amin's one of my favorites, and
I'm going to buy a lottery ticket this week because I got to see you so often. So I think this is my lucky week. So I think I got to buy that lottery ticket for some more fun. Anyway.
So Amin was an early collaborator on the book and read the manuscript almost a year ago as well. And he's got a unique mind, because he's an entrepreneur, he's a consultant, he's a strategist. He kind of sees, I think Gino Wickman sometimes talks about those that can be a visionary and an integrator, kind of the COO and CEO personality. And Amin's one of those personalities I find can switch and toggle between both, and just very unique perspective on the book. So Amin, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with your quote around the book. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pivot for a second. I know you re-looked at the book this week, and you and Salim are both entrepreneurs. What was the most impactful message, or what was the most impactful thing that you took from the book?
I think the thing that sort of for me resonated was just the why system, right? This idea of bringing the 6 components together. And I like the way the book is structured, because you talk about them. And I think I was listening to the earlier folks on, and we talked about the clarity of the book and what an easy read it is. And so a couple things, the integrated system, of course, but I just think the clarity of which and how you describe it, and it has been described, I think is really good. So that was resonating with me. Some of the graphics are great too. I just think overall the system and the clarity of which it's been written about, and I think I told you this a couple days ago, as somebody would read this, I don't see how there's not a call to action to do something, because I think it just says whoever you are as an entrepreneur and where you are in your life, you need to really think about all these different 6 things, and you're in a different stage of your life for any one of these. But I think that to me has sort of re-resonated with me as I reread it.
Okay. Do you see you're in touch with a lot of entrepreneurs and get exposure to a lot of businesses. Do you feel that there's a real challenge for business owners to see clearly and to have integration?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think I would have told you that 5 years ago, right? Because I think we've probably met about 5 years ago through our business, and I think I would have said, oh, I can do it by myself. But when you really dig into it, you really can't, especially as you develop more wealth, and you have to focus in on your business. And the time you're not focused on the business, then that's the time you're losing to grow your business. So to find somebody, and you have to find I think the other thing is to find the right person, right? And the right team. I mean, I think we found that, but I think that is really, really important. And because there's lots of people out there, but I think what you're doing is, and I've told you this multiple times, I think what you're doing is super unique. I think it's something that should resonate with all entrepreneurs. And I can't believe it doesn't, because sometimes I want to grab them and say, go talk to him, but I can't do that.
Agreed.
Yeah, just go have a conversation, because I think when you start putting it all together, there's a real strategy, expertise, and I think I say this in my quote, actionable stuff that you allow us, help us do. And I think that to me is super important, and that's what I would say to somebody.
Wow, thank you for that. That means a lot. Yeah, that's a mic drop moment. I feel that way, but it's, I feel like, of course I see the value in it in a deeper way. But when you can mention something like that as a 5-year user of the system and the services, that speaks volumes. Thank you for that.
No, I believe it for sure. I think you guys are doing something really unique, and I hope more people will get to learn about it. And through the book, which I've got right there, right? I've got it marked. I think is super helpful, and I think people should all read it.
Yeah, thank you, Amin. So when you read initially the 3 dilemmas and kind of put a framework around all these thoughts that were going on, did that resonate with you? Because you talk about the system and the solution, but really where most owners are is they're thinking about the dilemmas.
Yeah, it did. And I think the thing that is really neat about it is how, there's something called, somebody used this term with me earlier today, boring but obvious, or something like that, BBOO, or whatever the way this other person I work with. And really what you've done is you've simplified the dilemmas somebody faces, right? And what do I do with my business? How do I exit it? And how do I create a legacy? So when you think through that is exactly how people go through their lives. And I think you did, in the book, you talk about a business life cycle, right? When it starts up, then it gains some traction, and then so I mean, that is exactly what happens to all of the businesses. And you get to this point to say, do I reinvest? Do I look to exit? These are all super important forks in the road. And you had the other example of the one guy who wanted to buy the building, and you're like, well, if you buy the building, think about your ROI, right? And of course, this is fresh because I've just reread it, right? So, but I think those are incredibly good examples, and forces somebody to really think through the decisions that they're making. So I think that's something that's really important. And I think that there's great examples in the book. The dilemmas are exactly what people face, and I think you've captured that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I got a phone call or a text message from a friend of mine a couple of days ago, and he had just got the book, a pre-release copy. And he said, my favorite thing about the book is the stories and examples.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard anyone say that yet until you're mentioning this here. And he said that making it real, like, here's what I'm going through, and then this is where the application happens. He said, that's what really resonated with me. Right. And that real estate reinvestment example, I'll give the 30-second explanation, but a business owner was like, should I invest? Should I buy the real estate that my business is on? Right. And does it make sense to own the building and quit paying rent? And it wasn't a yes or no answer. It was a question of, well, what is the return on those same dollars you would have put in real estate if you put it back in your company?
That's right.
And the return on the consultants in his business was 30 to 40% versus the real estate return of 15. So it wasn't that it was one or it was what was it for you, and how do you measure? And that way, when he reinvests back in his business, he does it with confidence. And when he says no to real estate, he does it with confidence. And maybe later on, real estate makes sense. So I appreciate you mentioning that. And there's lots of live examples throughout the book on how the practical application of these concepts.
Right.
That was the story that got me too. I mean, truly. And that's why I'm just so crazy about this book, and why I know I probably should be inviting everybody to buy it. Of course, I'm in this seat, but like, I genuinely mean it. I want people to buy it because there just isn't information out there like this for entrepreneurs. And I think what I see for Ollie, and Amin, you'll tell me if you agree, I see this like community of entrepreneurs coming in that can now engage and collaborate. And you mentioned the point of decision making. Where do I go? Do I hire an individual coach? I, for you, see this vision, Ollie, of like a whole community of people that are coming in, and it's just going to be an amazing resource for decision making and mentorship and collaboration. So you heard it here first.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we talk about whys in the workshops and all that. I think that is what's going to happen. And I think that is that's going to be the power of scale and taking it forward and,
there you
and
go.
all that stuff. So I think that's definitely going to be something that you can take this, and obviously you've already thought about it, right, to build on it and to do that. So I think that is going to be incredibly powerful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the reason it came up so much, and I think you guys are just expanding upon the idea in such a great way, is that sometimes the best guidance you get is when it's coming in a peripheral way, when you're viewing others. So like, I've met some entrepreneurs that they're worth a lot of money. Like one in particular, I remember $50 million of wealth on his balance sheet. He still felt he was poor. He couldn't see his position because he's like, I remember when I couldn't afford a meal. That's not real to me. And this is real estate. This is business. It's real assets. And I've seen entrepreneurs that have this paradigm of where they are. When they watch someone else in a peripheral way talk about how they have 50 million, but they feel poor, they're looking at them going, what are you talking about? You got 50 million. Why do you feel poor? Because they're not in the situation. They're able to see with a new level of clarity. And a lot of times in that workshop or in that breakout session or hearing someone else's concerns, they go, oh my gosh, that's me. I just don't realize what I'm doing. But when people speak directly to me, I might get defensive, I might get protective, and the workshops give that lens to see through someone else's eyes. And that's where a lot of times the biggest breakthroughs happen. So I'm so passionate about the impact that collaborative mind share with a good structure, what that can create for entrepreneurs. And in many ways, I'm kind of building what I wish existed for me. Because I grew up and I was like, gosh, there's a real problem with financial literacy in the United States, real problem with financial literacy. And then when you take that to entrepreneurial financial literacy, you're talking about a tiny segment of financial literacy. And most entrepreneurs I know, even the really, really intelligent business ones, a lot of them, when it comes to personal wealth and how to capture that entrepreneurial wealth, they don't have a clear path or strategy. And I think that's why now everyone's like, oh, I'm just going to hire my own people or start my own family office, because there's not that the guidebook's not there. So that was my goal, is can I create the guidebook?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that is the problem for entrepreneurs. And I don't think that people can grasp what you're doing just yet. But I think when they do, well, some people have, obviously. And I think you get more and more people doing that. And I've talked to some of the folks that, that have hopefully gone with you in the structure, but it's so clear that I think that they just need to, once you start talking about it, if you're smart enough, you'll get it, and you'll say, well, I don't know why I'm not doing this, right?
Awesome. Thank you, Amin.
What a great day.
Yeah, I really sincerely appreciate that. And while I have you live, thank you for all your input and collaboration on the manuscript. I think you read it twice, and he had phone calls with me.
And I'll read it again. Both my kids have copies, or will get copies, so they're all, and them, and Zane is chomping at the bit to read it, because I told him about the book launch, and he goes, "Oh, Ollie's book, right?" He knows it's taken a while to birth, but he's getting ready to read it, so he's excited about it too. So I think that's great, right? Because that's, if you can pass that on, like you said, about it at 22, 23. Imagine where he'll be when he's a little older. So that's kind of the idea that I want to do with both the kids, which is why they've met you, and it's personal, and you know them, and so I think that's really important too.
Wow. No, thank you for sharing that. I remember having that family meeting with your kids, and it was emotional and impactful, and I think them knowing your and Salima's story and what your desires are and how you want them to be good stewards is huge. So I'm really glad to hear that. I'd love to hear Zane and Sayana's feedback on the book. So.
Yeah, no, they should write a book report on it. I think we should.
I wouldn't torture them with that because I'd feel like that school teacher that forced me to write a book report, but I'd love to know their comments.
Yeah. No, I think they're excited about it. And I'm excited for them to get exposure to that. And I'm excited for you. I think this is a great day for you, 2222. I wish you all the best. And if there's anything else I can help with or Selena can help with, please let us know.
I sincerely appreciate you've done so much already. Thank you, Amin. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, I liked him
Really great.
so much.
Yeah, and he has such a calming energy. Each time I talk to him, it's always, he's an amazing human being and just wonderful family, and very, very appreciative to have him in my circle and our client community. So it's special.
So let me ask you, Ollie, pick like one or two moments in the past year as your favorite, some standout moments when something that was especially meaningful to you, whether writing the book, preparing for the launch, in recent communications. I know people are buying bulk copies, inviting you for speeches and on podcast interviews, and getting more involved in social media.
That's been the hardest.
One of my favorite moments.
That's the hardest thing for me. I tell you, I'll answer your question in just a second, but I have to say this, like being promoting myself, or what can come across as promoting myself, is extraordinarily challenging. And that quote from Adam Grant about it's not self-promotion, it's self-expression, that was a huge kind of marker for me to realize that this is not about me. This is about sharing this message and sharing it with those that need it most. And don't think about this in any way as self-promotion. This is your message. This is your impact. And that gave me a sense of peace to start promoting it more. It was really hard at first He's
putting it lightly. He had a really tough time with this. Because you're somebody in service to others, and it's hard for authors in general because you feel like you're putting a spotlight on yourself, but you're right. It's not about you. It's about this message, all of the years of experience and time and energy that you put into this and getting that out. Look at all the feedback that you've gotten today. It's absolutely extraordinary.
It's humbling. Beyond humbling. So I was just sending a message there because there's some noises going on at the house. It's incredibly humbling. And I think that the other day, to answer your question of what was a really remarkable moment or notable moment, a friend of mine invited me to a clubhouse. And I had an account. I'd never used it, never listened to it, didn't exactly know what Clubhouse was. I'm not a social media guy. Like prior to the book, I think in 5 years, I might have posted 2 photos of me on social media. Very rare. And he goes, would you come on Clubhouse and talk for a couple of hours? I'm like, a couple of hours? He's like, yeah, get in the dialogue, just free flow on the book. I said, okay, I'll do it. Let's do it. When I got done with that, the comments that people were making, things like, and in 2 years of being on Clubhouse, that was the most powerful 2 hours I've ever listened to. I'm in tears from realizing some of the paradigms that I have. This is life-changing. I just ordered your book, signed up for your newsletter, and would love to talk further. Just the types of comments were just so moving. And you start to realize, I think we talked about it before our call, is that in certain areas of life, you feel like you have a superpower. And when it comes to working with entrepreneurs and helping them kind of plan and capture their life's work and realize what they have and how to plan it and what to do next and address these big decisions and dilemmas, I feel like I have, almost 20 years experience of doing it in a unique way. And I have this superpower, and it's unbelievably fulfilling to know that I can start a conversation with a business owner and know in the next hour or two, they're going to be in a meaningfully better position with meaningfully better perspective than they had right now. And I can help them on that journey. And that is incredibly exciting for me. And then writing this book and actually hearing, when you hear these even big names in business, right, you've seen the names on the book that come back and they're like, Ollie, this was profound. Like I gained a lot. I'm thinking, I was just wanting you as a collaborator for input. I didn't think that you're going to gain. I didn't know how much you're going to gain. But hearing their notes and comments about how impactful it was on their life, it's incredibly humbling, it's incredibly motivating, and it just makes me want to keep sharing the message. And I feel like every business owner, as simply as I can put it, I feel like every single business owner out there, if you're a successful owner, you need to read this book. Not because I wrote it. Hey, all the proceeds are going to charity. Not because I'm telling you to, because I want you to. It's because this is written for you, and this is going to help you take the years that you've poured into your business and help you capture it. Like, you won't finish this book and not be in a better position, significantly better position than when you started it. And that's my passionate plea to every business owner. Or if you're a supporter to business owners and you're like, gosh, my dad's a business owner, my mom's a business owner, I have a friend that's a business owner, this is a roadmap for them. And I think they'll thank you for sharing the message with them. So
dang, I'm glad that was recorded.
That was recorded? Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's
Okay,
just,
good.
I'm really glad because it's really important and it's powerful. And this is why I love working with authors, you know, is that moment right there of like really stepping out onto the stage, and you do have a superpower and you are impacting lives. And this book is amazing. And you can confidently ask people to buy it because you know it's going to help them with their lives. So it's just wonderful. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your remarkable moment. I believe we have one more guest.
Yeah, we've got Mr. Asif Dakri. Is he in there? Is he live?
I'm here. Good afternoon, guys.
There he is. And man, you got an awesome microphone.
Yeah.
It's a great mic. No, it's really good. Good audio is good audio. And the moment you got on, it was a really crisp mic. So Asif, thank you for joining us. Asif Dakri, I'll give a quick little background. He is the CEO of Wallace Bank and a figurehead in the business owner community in Houston. I think Wallace Bank is like the leading SBA lender in Texas, or at least I know you have been at some point. And
Houston and San Antonio.
There you go. And he has a pulse on business owner lending, and just the bank does an incredible job in that space with business owners and understands the complexity of business owners. And Asif is one of those minds that one of the smartest people I know, and gets it. He gets it from many different angles, and just a great friend, and was an early collaborator on the book, who, you know, it kind of a year ago was giving me input on the manuscript, particularly on the structure and the thinking approach. So Asif, welcome, and thank you for joining us on this live stream.
Well, thanks, Ali. I appreciate it. And let me start by saying just congratulations on the book launch, and congratulations on a fantastic career overall. So
thank you, Asif. Thank you so much. We go back 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, about that. Yeah. I'm not that old, but I think when I was 10, right?
I remember starting in the business, 17 years ago, and going to lunch with you over at back before it doesn't even exist anymore. I think it was called La Strada or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
And that was, back in the pre-08 days, like 2004, 5, something like that. So we go back a long time. And Asif, you made some really profound comments about the book, and I'm going to pull out your quote. I'll kind of start there. But you said that this book is an eye-opener for successful entrepreneurs to see the forest from the trees. Ali gives you the outside perspective to help you get a clear picture about what you really want. Mm-hmm. And in your notes, you mentioned a lot of things around making you more intentional. That not just thinking about things, but really being intentional. Could you expand upon what you gained from the book and the impact it had on you?
Sure. Let me just start with that comment about the forest for the trees. It seems kind of counterintuitive that entrepreneurs, we seem to think we have the view of everything in front of us. We know what's going on. We have a view that goes well beyond today, tomorrow, the next 12 months. We can see the future, and that's what we believe. But I think when you start looking at it, it's kind of like looking through a telescope. You can sit there, you can see in the distance, you see everything completely clear, but you don't see what's on your peripheral sitting right in front of you. And I think that's what this book kind of brings to your mind, that, hey, yeah, you see your business, you see where you're going, but do you see what's around you, what's sitting right in front of you in terms of your money, in terms of your freedom, in terms of your time? It's those type of things that I think really come out in the book, that we all know that, you know, you want money, you want control, you want freedom of time, freedom of what you do. And most entrepreneurs are really good at controlling their business, finding out, you know, how to make money. But then it's the side things that you forget about. Can I go on vacation? You know, do I have my friends around me? Am I have quality of time with my family? These type of things, I think, is what you miss out a lot of times when you're so focused on what you're doing. And I think this book does a great job of saying, hey, think about everything else around you, not just what's in front of you.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. What was the most impactful thing that you thought about? Or where were the blinders on potentially for you, or where you've seen it in your circles?
Really, for me, I think it was you start with a business and it does grow and it's just moving along. And as you're growing with it, you sort of lose sight that you're accumulating things and you're accumulating assets. You've got other stuff going on. And until someone just stops you and says, hey, think about what you've just done and take a look at it, you kind of like, whoa, wait a minute. What do I have on this? You know, I've got a piece of real estate. I've got money. I've got whatever. And then you realize you're getting older too. And you think,
Yeah.
I need to start doing something. I need to start planning and making sure that I have everything that I want. So when I do end up retiring, if I ever do, which, you know, entrepreneurs never do, but when I get to that point where I want to try something different, I have the ability to do it and to make that move. Sorry, my light just turned off.
You're good. You're good.
No, yeah. You look great.
I think that's spot on. And the complexity factor, there's so many business owners that for them, their situation isn't complicated. They're like, what do you mean? Yeah, I've got these 8 private equity deals. I know the owner of each one. I've got this real estate. I've got these investments. I have these collectibles, and they have a lot of things going on. But to them, it's not that complicated because they built it brick by brick. It's almost as though most entrepreneurs I meet, even if their balance sheet has 30 items, I can sit down with them and start talking, and they'll list off one by one every single thing they own, what it's worth. But anybody else in their family, no one else can do that. And how do you effectively plan for succession? Because to you, it's not complicated. You know it all. But to your spouse, do they? Do your children, do they? And it can become extraordinarily complex for succession. Right. And you start to have to, one question I'll often bring up with owners that have, you know, either they're in the next phase, like they've sold their company and they're now creating new deals, or they built everything brick by brick, but no one else understands it but them. It's what do you want for you versus what do you want for your family? Because a lot of times you've built so much that what you're growing now, you're never going to benefit from it financially. It's all excess and it's going to be for your children. So why not plan for that accordingly versus thinking about it like it's just yours? Because that's going to create unintended consequences where you might not position it appropriately, or you might create too much complexity that there can't be succession.
That's true. That's true. And I think that's a common problem that a lot of successful entrepreneurs have. They build this massive amount of wealth, and it's not necessarily all sitting in cash. And frankly, it never is sitting in cash. It's sitting in assets. And so, you know, when when your time comes and you have to leave it to your kids, what do your kids do? How do they manage? How do they go through the estate planning process? How do they know if they have to pay taxes on their estates? I mean, you know, the holistic approach to everything, I think, is what's missing with most people's plans today. And, you know, you look at school and you go to school and they say, we want to make you a well-rounded student. So you learn everything, you know about math and history and English and science. But when it comes to our finances, we don't really do that at all. We don't have that thought process in our mind. And I think when you look at this book, it's kind of taking that process and putting it all together, saying, yeah, here's your money, here's your investments, here's your family, here's your life. What do you want it to look like? What's your full picture?
Yeah. You know, you mentioned what you want it to look like, and you read in there about return on life experience. When you read about return on life experience, what did that mean to you?
Well, to me, it's what are we working for, right? I mean, so when I look at personally, I say, why am I putting all my efforts, all my time into this? What do I want to get out of this? Is it strictly just the money? Is it achievement? What is it that I'm looking for? And I want to get a quality of life, right? I don't really look for the money. I look for the achievement, trying to grow something, trying to build something. Doesn't matter what it is. But then I also want to be able to, you know, have those trips, those vacations, go with my kids to wherever they want to go, have that family life also that I can afford because of what I'm doing from the business standpoint.
I love that. That's what it's all about. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in building that we forget that.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of a story. A friend of mine, he had the benefit of joining a party at Oprah Winfrey's house, and he's an author and great guy. And he said, "I'm at Oprah's house, and Jeff Bezos is there." And yeah, I'm going to tell a story. And he goes, Jeff's sitting in the corner with his arms folded, and just all in his head, completely not being social. And he said, "I realized in that moment that I have something that Jeff Bezos doesn't have." So what's that? He said, "Enough.
Ooh.
I have enough." And I don't think he does. And it was one of those moments where I've talked about it a million times after that. And I don't know, and I can't judge Jeff Bezos. I don't know him.
Yeah.
This is just a story. And for all I know, he may have just the best mindset in the world. I don't know. So I want to be respectful of that. But I do meet people that are so focused on wealth creation or wealth building that they lose sight of what really matters. And there's no amount of money that ever fills the cup. And hearing what your answer to that question about family and where your kids want to travel to and what matters and achievement and accomplishment and impact, those are the things that really matter. And as entrepreneurs, so often we start a business in our 20s or 30s, and we're forced to put every ounce of energy we have into building. And once you do that for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, it's now pre-programmed. It's in your subconscious to where you have to work. And if you ever slow down, you feel lazy. I see Amber smiling there. You feel lazy. You feel guilty, especially owner founders, because once upon a time, they had to work at a pace when if you didn't work at that pace, you were going backwards. You had to do it. And it's hard for them after 10, 20, 30 years, no matter how much wealth they create, to not still have that same mentality, because it was hardwired in their subconscious. And the goal in the book to try to really cover the concept of ROLE, or ROLE, which is return on life experiences. What do you want out of your wealth? And how can you reposition your wealth in a way that gives you that life experience? And it sounds like you're already doing that, Asif. Like you're already very centered around what really matters and its family and achievement.
Well, I think I was lucky. My prior life, I was the auditor and the consultant and did mergers and acquisitions, all this good stuff. What I found out though when I changed jobs is into what I'm doing today, the work never stops. It's always there. So you have to make time for yourself. You have to figure out, what do I really want and how do I want to accomplish it? So I was lucky about 20 years ago, probably right when we met, I decided, hey, I don't want a laptop. And this was, again, I'm old, so pre-iPhones. I said, no laptop, because I don't want to take the work home with me. I just had a son was born and everything. I said, I want to have a little bit of quality of life and whatnot. And then unfortunately, iPhone came out. And, the rest is history. Can't leave the office at the work anymore. So
yeah.
But it's a conscious effort that has to be made. Just like you say in your book, everything has to be done with intention and done for the right reasons. And those reasons are different for everybody. It's not the same for every one person. So taking that wide approach and really asking the questions of somebody to say, what do you really want? Do you want to give to charity? Do you want to continue working till you drop? What makes you what you are?
Right.
And I think that's the important thing.
Yeah, it's individual to each person. I'm glad you mentioned that, because some people do look at others and go, well, should I be doing that?
Totally.
And it's really about your journey. You couldn't have said it better. What do you want? And I think that's the hardest question that most people don't answer. And I struggle with it myself, but if I could rip up anyone's planning right now and just say, let's start with one question. What do you want? What does this look like when it's all done? And really dial into that. I bet you we'd have to recreate a lot of the work you already have done, or reposition things kind of like a mosaic, because most people didn't start with, what do you want? They started with, how should I do this? Or what's a good plan? And
that's correct.
Should.
But it's also what you want today is not what you want 5 years from now.
Indeed.
That's a fact.
Very true.
Man, this live stream has been amazing, Ollie. I
Uh,
mean, do you know how many nuggets? There's like practically a whole other book in here just from all of like the side conversations that we've had, like a little manifesto or some guide that we'll end up creating as a giveaway.
I feel humbled because I have contacts like Asif and the others you've met on today's call that I
Amazing.
think have incredible wisdom, and it's been
Clearly.
through 1,000 conversations
Yeah.
with all of them that the book arrived, and I think every conversation I have with any of them, it just further enhances the concepts that I talk about because it came from those conversations. So
Book
I'm
number
humbled.
2. We'll talk about it next week. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll give it a week. It'll be great. It'll be great. Asif, any final comments you'd tell to someone considering reading the book, or any guidance you'd give a business owner that's debating, should I embark on this journey of reading the Business Owner's Dilemma?
Well, I think if you are an entrepreneur and you've started your business, or even if you've been in business for 10, 15 years, it's definitely worthwhile reading. I mean, I've bought several copies to give to my clients and customers. I know that for what I do, we have similar customer base, if you will. Most of my customers are all entrepreneurs, and you can see what they've done or where they're missing something. And, I plan to give this book to them to say, take a second look at what you're doing and what's going on. So
Thank you,
it's
Asif.
definitely something that's worthwhile for every entrepreneur to take a look at.
Very appreciated.
Well done.
And Asif, for those that are interested in learning more about Wallace Bank, or they're entrepreneurs that go to the typical bank and they're saying, you know what, these bankers don't understand that I may not show money on my tax return, but the business is doing great, or I have unique nuances to my business. Where do they connect with you, or how do they connect with Wallace?
You can simply just go to wallacebank.com, WALLISBANK.com. That's the easiest way. And reach out. There's contact numbers there. We're in Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Los Angeles, Atlanta. Just give us a call. We'll see what we can do.
Awesome.
Congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
Thank you, Asif. Thank you for all your great insight and guidance on the book.
Thanks, Ellie. Appreciate it. Congratulations again.
Thank you. Take care.
You have amazing friends.
I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed.
I think we have two more that sent in videos for you. You think you can handle a little tiny bit more?
Absolutely. I'm full of energy right now. Yeah, let's play the video. And I tell you what, I know who they're coming from. I haven't watched. I've only seen one of the videos. I know the other one.
Well, I haven't seen any of them.
So I'm excited, and I'd love to expand upon it because I know both of these two, and they're fantastic people. So.
Hello, my name is Lori Clemens. I'm a certified EOS implementer, and I was honored to collaborate with Ali Nasser on his book, The Business Owner's Dilemma. In the book, I just loved that concept around the return on life experience and the value that can have for business owners and entrepreneurs to lay out a path to just maximize their fulfillment in life. So that concept really spoke to me. I loved this book. And if you love EOS like I do, then I can only imagine the impact that EOS has on your business will be paralleled by the impact that the Business Owner's Dilemma can have on your personal wealth. And I hope you enjoy this wonderful book. Thanks for your time.
Awesome, Lori. Lori is great. She's been our EOS implementer for Ultra Vista. Gosh, that's great. I sincerely hope that the impact of Business Owner's Dilemma and WISE over the years can be measured with the impact of EOS, because I know that has been substantial. I want to share a quick story here on return on life experience, because the other day someone said to me, Ali, I hear this concept of return on life experience and I get it conceptually, but could you give me an example of how that applies? Because it's a little bit in the air, like return on life experience. Like, what do you really want? I was having a business owner called me and he said, hey, I want to get together for lunch with you. He sold his company several years prior. And he said to me, I have an opportunity to buy back the company that I sold for pennies on the dollar because the acquirer ran it into the ground, didn't do it right. And my executive team,
Oh my gosh.
he said, my executive team came to me going, we can buy this company back. We want you to be on the saddle as our CEO and to lead this company. And we can make a fortune turning this thing around. And we know it, we built it. So he said, I just want to get your input. You know, I've thought about this, but I'm still stuck as to what I want to do. Can we get together and can we talk? I said, absolutely. Let's get together. We grabbed lunch and he came with this folder that had kind of some things he wanted to show me about the financials and what it could turn around to be and the ROI that could be generated in the next few years. And it was substantial. I said, hey, let's just keep that aside for now. Like, where are you stuck? What do you want? He said, well, I don't want to have to be on a conference call at 10 a.m. when I'm traveling. I don't want to have to bypass or put aside what I want with my lifestyle because I've got an opportunity to make more money. And this is a great deal. It's an incredible return and we can do great things with it, but I'm just not sure that I want that change to my lifestyle. I'm really enjoying where things are. And he was completely financially independent. He had sold his company. He was still doing projects. He was involved as an entrepreneur in other gigs. And I looked at him and I said, and I'm gonna make up a name here. I'm gonna call him Joe. I said, Joe, then what are we having the conversation about? And I said, you've answered your own question, which is you want the life experience, and the return on life experience that you have right now is exactly what you want. And you don't want to disrupt that for more capital or more money. So what are we talking about? And he nodded and he agreed. And he said, yeah, that's kind of how I was feeling. But I was like, you needed someone to validate the thought because your whole life, it's always been, we can make great money. This is a great ROI. This is a great opportunity. And he could have been, his return on life experience could have been, I want to get back in the saddle. I want to build another company. And that's what I want. And then that would have been the right decision. But he clearly didn't want that. He wanted the lifestyle. So in his situation at that time, his role, his ROLE, that return on life experience was to not get back on the saddle and not generate the higher return. And it's not a math equation, it's a life equation. So
the word that keeps coming up for me for whatever reason is should. You know, like, well, shouldn't I do this because, you know, I have this unique ability and am I using it to its maximum potential? And there's social pressures, there's internal pressures, purpose pressures, legacy pressures, you know, the model that you want to be for your kids or who you want to be in society. I mean, it's unbelievable the noise that goes up here that guides some of our decisions, you know? So are we doing what we think we should be doing, or are you doing what you genuinely want to be doing? I loved what she said about maximize fulfillment.
Yeah.
You know, loved that.
Yeah.
It's a great video.
Very well put. Very well put. So
So
we have one more?
One more video. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I think we have a question from Courtney. And then I think we're nearing the end of our time, my friend.
You do the question first?
Sure. So Courtney says, Ollie, I'm curious if you would recommend this book for those of us sitting in the owner's box. I'm an integrator. I'm hoping it will give me insight into the many issues and the overall mindset that owners experience on a regular and not so regular basis.
Okay. So what I'm hearing here is Courtney's an integrator.
That's right.
But would this give perspective to Courtney, given she's got someone in the owner's box? So there's like a visionary or a CEO or an owner that, oh my gosh.
Could Courtney read that and then give that experience forward to his business owner?
The short answer is yes. The short answer is yes. And here's why. We have, as owners, whether I'm in the owner's box in one business that I own, my brother is the visionary and integrator, and I really sit in the owner's box. And then I sit in the visionary seat in two companies, Wise and Ultra Vista. So this comes from many angles. There are certain habits that a business owner will adopt because of their dilemmas and because of their feelings toward wealth, toward key decisions. And that ends up manifesting in how they act within the business. I want this to be done. I want that to be done. Or a business owner that's saying something like this. I met one that told me, you know, my CEO will invest millions of dollars in real estate, but he won't invest tens of thousands back in the company. Like the return's there, the capital's there, but he's doing it elsewhere, but not here. He sees it with a different lens. This book is
Mm.
there to give that owner total clarity over all the different aspects of their wealth and life, business and personal. And for somebody who's reading the book, it's going to give you a glasses, if you will, as to how the owner sees it, how the person in the owner's box is viewing their position, what their dilemmas might be, what their decision points are. So I think it would be tremendously impactful for both him in the owner's box, as well as you in the integrator seat, to read the book. And I think that that's going to help tremendously. And also, there's a lot of the content in this book that's going to be relevant to you as an integrator. There may be certain aspects that only address the business owner, but there's a lot of content in here that's going to be very valuable for someone in the integrator seat. So short answer, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a great question. And
I really like getting key team members all involved in the same conversation. You know, the company culture that we have in NGNG is very collaborative. We're better together. That's one of our core values. So I'm not just keeping owner information up here. I choose to share that because I'm educating them. I have a company full of people that are very entrepreneurial minded, and maybe they don't want to start their own business, but I like feeding them this information because it's important for their own growth. And then we can collaborate and row in the same direction toward a common goal as well and have more interesting conversations. And so the bonus that you have to order 12 copies, just got to bring that in because Courtney, you could be at that workshop and you totally should.
Okay, Courtney, thank you for that. I see your comment here. I was reading it regardless. Appreciate the love, Courtney. Thank you so much for the question, and all the best with your journey.
Yes, thank you for being here, Courtney. Let's watch this last video. It's cute.
Hey, Ollie, Mark Winters coming to you today from the summit of Johnson's Peak out at Possum Kingdom Lake. Pretty cool place to hang out on a Sunday afternoon, and just wanted to wish you congratulations as you launch your book this week. I'm very excited for you. I love the way the twos lined up. That's a very cool thing. You were destined to launch your book on this date, and just want to let you know how grateful I am for our relationship, and grateful for the wisdom that you've imparted to me over the years. It really means a lot, and I hope we'll continue to be friends for a long time. And when I think about your book, in Rocket Fuel, we wrote about taking some structure and bringing it to the relationship between a visionary and an integrator to blend the natural friction that's there into something that's a much more positive, powerful energy. And I really think that's what you do in your book, is you provide the structure for an entrepreneur to take all this chaos and craziness that is around them in regard to their own finances, their own wealth, and what they want to do and how to make it happen. And you blend that frustration, that chaos, into something focused and powerful that can help them do what they want it to do. And so I know you're going to impact a lot of lives in a very positive and profound way. So I'm grateful for that too. So all the best and have a great launch, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Man, that's so 5 years ago, Amber, 5 years ago, I was in a place of overwhelm with my business. And I was having a period of, high growth and high team turnover because we were so focused on growth and the team culture wasn't where it needed to be. And I was dealing with some real internal operational challenges. And I was at a strategic coach session, and one of my friends there said, "Have you read the book Rocket Fuel?" And I said, "No, I haven't." He goes, "Man, with what you're dealing with, I think you should read that book." And I downloaded it that day and I finished it that night. And Mark Winters and Gino Wickman co-authored that book. And the book changed my life. It gave me clarity over where I was, who I was, why I was thinking the way that I was thinking, and gave me a path forward. And I remember saying when I read that book, and I remember this so vividly, I said, Rocket Fuel changed my life. My moment, one day, like my moment where it's like, what's that moment where like, this has made you like that, you can check that box of the impact that you've made. I'm like, someone one day, maybe it's 5 years from now, maybe it's 10 years from now, they're reading my book, The Business Owner's Dilemma, right there, and they're saying, The Business Owner's Dilemma changed my life. And they're seeing what I said about Rocket Fuel, about my book, and it made that profound of an impact on their life. And when I gave the keynote speech at EOS last year, Gino and Mark were in the audience, and I said, Gino, Mark, thank you because you gave me clarity. And I've heard owners already saying this book has really given me clarity. And I feel as though like the universe is doing its thing. And I made a request. And here I am 5 years ago. I didn't know Mark. I think we met about 4 years back, or Gino. And now the people whose book changed my life, both of their names are sitting on the back cover of this book. And they were part of the collaboration process, and they provided insights and input. And Mark had written like 2 pages of notes after he read the book. He's like, Ali, this is moving for me. And I have all these questions, and to get that video right now is just perfect way. I'm so grateful. And I tell you, these people, they're so authentic and genuine. Every word that's coming out of it means a lot. It really means a lot. So thank you, Mark. You're not on live, but I really appreciate that video. And for any of you that haven't, if you're a business owner, an integrator, a visionary that hasn't read Rocket Fuel, that is definitely one to add to your list. So make sure you check that out.
So we started this whole live stream by me feeling like this was an incredible moment in history that I got to witness. And now here we are, and I'm like, this is still an incredible moment. Like, it is so magical. It's been magical from day one when I had the call with Melissa, and there was something about her and our connection and the energy on that call. I remember ending that call thinking I would do anything to work with this team on this book project. And here we are. And I'm hearing about, your magical moments, and we've interacted on, different relationships and the reviews that you've gotten and the readers that are coming out of the woodworks and the comments all over social media. Like, it's really magical. Is there anyone that I want to just give you a moment to allow you to say any thank yous, or if there was a moment that you wanted to honor in this process, or if there's something that you want to cast into the future? Clearly, you're a really good manifester. So, I mean, now's your moment.
I have so many things to say. I'll start with a few thank yous. So my team, they are big heart. I don't know how to do that, but that thing. My team is, I owe them a huge thank you. They've done a tremendous job to build a company and go through the challenges of growth that we've faced as a business while also writing a book. Only happens because you have amazing team members that have allowed you to sit in the appropriate seats at the appropriate time and supported you on the journey. And, Melissa has done a tremendous job of making all the ships run on time and empowering the right things and creating this book journey, and her stepping into kind of the book project manager, which was not her passion, not what she was. She's a COO integrator, made a huge difference in the project. With Wise, Sina has been tremendous in getting that workshop program and platform, and like being it's amazing. It's amazing. Amber, you and your team, I mean, I need to give a moment here to compliment you. I was talking about you yesterday with Sina, and you have exceeded my expectations throughout this process with your personal touch and availability and like just care. Like every time, if I'm ever feeling like I need to talk to someone about this book journey and I talk to you, it's like I feel that sincere care, and it means a lot. And for those of you that are wondering, like, Amber's not your run-of-the-mill book launch company. Like, she is
not even close.
I mean, it is like, basically, I felt like I've had an Altruista team, I've had a Wise team, and I have an NGNG team. And I feel like each one of them are my teams. Like, I have my own team, and their services are certainly not low priced at all. They are, well, I mean, they're worth it. They're worth every dollar. But I was having a conversation with Sina yesterday, and they said, how's the experience been with NGNG over the past year? I said, you know what? If I had a team member that I had paid a salary to, equivalent to NGNG services, how would I feel about that team member? And we both looked at each other and we're like, like they're amazing, and you're thrilled with their performance and success, and they've created amazing outcomes. And for those of you that might be, launching a book or thinking about, kind of taking your message to the world, couldn't recommend Amber more highly. Her and her team have done a tremendous job and really, truly care and have an ability to execute that I have not ever experienced from a marketing company, a book launch company, or anything of that nature in the past. So that's just my plug for you. I know you didn't ask for it, but I'm sure.
I don't even know what to say. You were just trying to transfer that over to me. Now I'm really humbled. I don't know what to say.
I mean it. I mean, I really mean it. I wouldn't say it if I didn't. You know
I
me.
know.
You guys have done an amazing job.
Thank you.
But back to the book.
Back to the book.
I know that.
And Megan is awesome too. Big shout out.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's so many.
I know.
There's
You're
the
just
entire
very well
team at Ultra
supported.
Vista, Megan DeJanin. I mean, I could list the entire team out.
I know. I'm not here to overwhelm you. We thank everybody because it took a lot of people to get to this moment. It really a lot of love.
It really did. And if you're wondering who the people are in this book, all their names are in the back here. So I've got the shout outs there, and actually a special shout out to Sonia Padlock, who's my assistant. Her birthday's today.
Yes. Oh, happy birthday.
She's been great at supporting the book process. Yeah. So it's special happy birthday shout out to Sonia as well.
So what from here?
So
I would like to share my screen just for a moment, and then I know we need to get you out of here and on your way. You've got so many people wanting to talk to you, but cast just a quick vision for me. What do you want? Like, if you could wave your wand, since you are so great at manifesting, a bunch of people buy a copy of the book, not because you need it for ego reasons or anything like that, because that would signify an amplification of your impact. And that's what you're here to do, right? And not to mention the book proceeds going to Charity Water.
So what do I want from all of this?
Yeah, cast a vision. How would you want people to interact with you moving forward from here?
Yeah, it's really clear for me, and that's every business owner. This book is not about me. In fact, almost no part of this book is about me. It's not about me. This book is about every single business owner that has poured their heart and soul into building their company and giving them the roadmap that they want, or they know they may not even know that they want, to capture their life's work. And every ounce of blood, sweat, tears that you put into your company over this last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, if you do nothing else, if you hear nothing else from me, it's have a plan to capture your life's work. And if you're curious about what that means, or you're wondering what that means, or you're lacking clarity, I promise you, this book is written for you.
Yes.
And the goal of this book is to give you clarity and to give you a roadmap to capture your success and turn what you've done in business into life experience and accomplishment, and transfer that to personal benefit. And if you're looking to capture your life's work, this book's written for you. And my heroes are business owners that put their neck out and put risk out on the line every day to build something and create opportunities and create value. This is for you. So if you're a business owner, buy the book. If you're a friend of a business owner, or your mom or dad's a business owner, buy the book for them. I promise you won't regret it.
I'm incredibly proud of you, Ollie. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with the world. We all appreciate it.
Thank you, Amber. Appreciate you and all your support. Thank you to the whole NGNG team. Thank you to the Ultra Vista team. Thank you to the WISE team. And thank you to all those that contributed towards this book, collaborators, friends, anyone that's supporting the book in any way. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us live.